Hello viewers, welcome back to our channel BSc to NSC, and I am Mahesh, and in this video we will be discussing about the investing with respect to equity. So this is the third video in our investing series, and we will be focusing mainly on mutual funds. So equity, there are different things, but in this video we will stick to mutual funds. So before we get started, so we'll have a quick recap of what we discussed in the previous video, that is on the asset classes. Okay, so these are the different asset classes that we were discussing in our previous video. The first one not being an asset class, but that is something that one should have. So that is on cash. The second one is equity. It can be either a startup funding, index funds, ETF, that is exchange traded funds, mutual funds, or stocks. Then we have fixed income, in which you can either park your money in debt mutual funds, the provident funds, bonds or the debentures, recurring deposit, fixed deposit at banks, or you can also park your money in post office products. Then the next asset class is real estate. So again, there are different things that you can do: plots, buildings, REIT, rental property. So that is a different asset class. And the last one we discussed is about gold, silver and platinum, the precious metals. So these are the 5 different asset classes. I am not talking or going to include crypto at this point in time. So we'll stick to just these 5. And in this video, our focus will be on equity, and within equity, we will focus on mutual funds. So what is a mutual fund, and what are the different types of mutual fund that is available, and what are the things that you need to look into a mutual fund before you start actually investing in a mutual fund. Okay, before we get started, I would like to show you this book, Art of Stock Investing, written by Manikandan from BSc to NSC. So this book deals about how to select stocks for long-term investing, and this is a very simple book which you can read in maybe in an hour or so. And if you would like to get this book as a PDF, please fill in your details in the link available in the description of this video, and we will email you the PDF copy. Okay, let's get started. So what are mutual funds? You may be hearing in different advertisements, either in newspapers or in business news channels on the television, like mutual funds like they wanted everybody to invest in mutual funds for a better returns than you get from traditional savings instruments like a fixed deposit in the bank. Some people wants to do in stocks, but not everybody know which stocks to buy and when to exit, and people may not have time to do all this. Some people know, but they don't have time. Some people don't know how to deal directly into stocks, so they would like to invest their corpus into mutual funds. Now we will see like how mutual fund works. So it is a professionally managed investment, because you are not going to decide which stocks or which asset classes where you wanted to invest, and what is the percentage allocation, and your entry and exit. Everything will be done by the fund manager of the mutual fund. And they are actually, like, they would have done MBA in a reputed college, they will have a very good experience in the market, so they will professionally manage your investment. And how does it work? There can be someone who can afford, say, 20,000 a month into a SIP, into any mutual fund, but there can be someone who can afford only 5,000. So as a fund, they will pool in money from different investors. It can be retail, institution or a HNI. So they pool in all the money, and with that money then they go ahead and invest as per the fund's mandate. When I say fund's mandate, there are different types of funds. Some funds are like large caps. Then they are supposed to invest only in the stocks that is identified as a large cap. They cannot invest outside of that. So they will mainly invest as per their fund classification. And you get the diversification on the investment that you do, because they are going to invest in different asset classes, and even within an asset class, they don't park all the money in just one stock. In case if it is an equity mutual fund, they may invest the funds into different stocks with different weightages. They know which stock to invest how much, because it is like they know more than what a retail investor know. And they're not going to do this free of cost, because you are going to give your money to a fund house and they're going to generate returns for you while you focus on either your job or your business. So somebody is dealing your money and making returns for you. So you have to pay them something. So they charge a fee for managing your investment, and that is called as expense ratio in mutual funds. Okay. So this is just the graphical representation of how the mutual funds work. So the investors come together, they pool their money, it goes to the fund manager, and fund manager identifies the securities where he want to invest in, and he generates returns, when to book profits, all that. And once the returns are generated, they are passed on to investors. So this is the full cycle of how the mutual fund works at a very high level. Okay, now let us go on to the types of mutual funds. Okay, so in the types of mutual funds, so based on the asset class where the mutual fund is going to invest your money, so they are classified into different things. So equity fund, meaning when you provide the investments, those will be invested only into equity, like they will be buying stocks. There can be another fund like debt fund, wherein they don't invest in equity, whereas they invest either in a government treasury bills or a corporate bond. It can be like either like a non-convertible debentures. So any bond given by either corporate or by government. So they invest there. Like in banks issue like tier 1 bonds, tier 2 bonds. So those bonds, like the mutual fund will go ahead and invest in bank bonds as well. That is debt. People who don't want to take a higher risk, but they want a better return than a fixed deposit, mostly they go to debt funds. People who are ready to take higher risk, like people at an younger age, where they wanted the compounding effect on their money, they prefer equity, because in a short term there can be market fluctuations, so you might not get the desired returns in equity in short term. That's why those who wants to go to equity, they always prefer to be invested for a longer period, because in the longer period the equities, when invested properly, they tend to generate more returns than most of the other asset classes. Okay, somebody wants equity and also debt. There is something called hybrid funds, where they invest certain amount of the money into equity and certain amount in debt. So those are the hybrid funds. There are some funds who purely invest in gold. They don't go into equity or debt. They purely invest into gold, because people, they don't want to buy a physical gold, because the problem in physical gold is the safety. Once you buy it, then you will have to store them either in a house, then you will be like worried about that being stolen, or you will have to open a bank locker and keep your gold in the bank locker, and you have to pay rent for the locker. So physical gold is not an easy thing to manage for everybody. So people prefer the online, that is e-gold. So either you can buy through the mutual fund route. There's some ETFs are also there. Those are mutual funds, but they are available to trade on the exchanges. So those are that is the gold classification. There is one more classification, that is ELSS, Equity Linked Savings Scheme, or the tax saver funds. Both are same. People, they wanted to do some investments, but they wanted to claim tax benefits from it. So when you put in either stocks or different mutual funds, you might not be able to avail until unless you select the mutual fund which is under the category of the tax saver funds. When you say, for example, in your savings account in the bank, you can open a fixed deposit with a lock-in period of 5 years. Then you will be able to show that as a exemption under section 80C of the Income Tax Act. But the lock-in period is 5 years, and the returns you get is, as of now, it is around 5 to 6%. Whereas when you invest in this tax saver funds, the lock-in period is only 3 years, and there are chances like you may get a higher returns. Again, it depends on the market conditions, because you are going to invest only for 3 years. So some people prefer this route rather than going into fixed deposit route of the bank. Okay, at high level, these are the 5 classifications in the mutual fund. There are some mutual fund which invest in some other mutual fund. They are called fund of funds, but we will not go into those things as of now. Okay, so these are the 5 high level classifications of the mutual funds. In these, again, there are 2 classifications, mainly a dividend fund and a growth fund. You need to understand what is the difference between these two. In the growth fund, the profit they make will be reinvested again. Those who wanted like a compounding effect and they wanted to be invested for a longer period, they should be going for growth option. Whereas people say on their closer to the retirement or people who are already retired, most people will prefer for dividend option because there is a cash flow that you get, it generates a cash flow for you. So the profits are booked periodically and the profits are returned to you as dividends. So those are the two classifications among all these funds. That is, one is dividend, the other one is growth. Then at high level, among all these things that we have discussed, so we have 5 classification based on the asset classes and the types of mutual funds. Within these 5, there is growth and dividend. So in total, we have 10 types of funds. Within those 10, again, there are 2 further classifications. All these 10 can be called as a direct fund or a regular fund. This is very important and one should have concentration on what I'm going to say. The fund that you buy directly from the fund house is called direct fund. If you buy the fund through a bank or through a mutual fund distributor, it is called a regular fund. What is the difference between these two? When you buy directly from the fund house or through online portals like either Zerodha Coin or Paytm Money, ET Money, there are like Grow app. So there are some platforms where you can buy direct funds online yourself. But when you buy the mutual fund through a distributor or through a bank, even say for example, let us take ICICI. ICICI is a bank. So you have a savings account. So you visit the branch for some purpose. There may be a sales team sitting over there who will come and talk to you. Say for example, they will be pitching like doing a cross sales on some mutual funds. And you may be interested in and you wanted to invest. Those funds are regular funds because bank is reselling a product of another business entity of ICICI Group, that is ICICI Prudential, who actually is the fund house, who manages the mutual funds. So I was telling about expense ratio, that is the charge that you pay to the fund house for managing your investment. In case of direct fund, the charges, you will pay the charge only to the fund house. In case of regular fund, the expense ratio will be higher. That is because you pay the same amount that you have to pay to the fund house as in direct. In addition to that, you will also be paying commissions to the person from whom you are purchasing the regular funds. It may seem to be a smaller one. Say for example, there can be a fund where the expense ratio is only 0.3 or 0.4% in direct, whereas the same fund, when you buy in regular mode, the expense ratio may be 1.2% or 1.3%. You may think, okay, only 0.6 to 1%, what's a big deal? But there is a massive difference. I will just to show you the savings that you may get. Just give me a second. Okay, so this is Zerodha's Coin app. So maybe I will take Mirai Tax Saver Growth Fund. Okay. Assume you are doing an SIP for 5,000 a month for next 25 years and the expected returns is 15%. This is very optimistic, so let us keep for now 15%. You can see the expense ratio. In the direct fund, the expense ratio is only 0.29%, whereas in the regular fund, the expense ratio as of now it is 2%. This is massive difference. So if you are doing your investment through the direct fund mode, at the end of 25th year, assuming the fund gives 15% every year, it's the compounded annual growth rate, CAGR, your corpus will be 1.65 crore at the end of 25 years. Whereas had you selected to invest in regular fund with this expense ratio, your corpus will only grow to 1.2 crore. There is a difference of 45 lakhs just by this 1.7 or 1.8% difference, because it will have a compounding effect. So don't think the difference is less. At the end, if you are going to be investing for a longer term, this makes a massive difference. So it is always better to go for a direct fund. Don't go for regular fund. So you can save a lot in the commissions. Okay, now we know the different types of mutual funds. Now let us go to the factors and the realistic expectations that we can get from mutual funds and the factors that we need to look out for before we actually select a mutual fund. Okay, so the realistic return expectations, it is only 12 to 15% per year in the longer run. In the short term, based on the market conditions, the returns may vary. You may even get a negative returns. You may even get like 20%, 30% returns as well. It depends on at what time you are invested and what is the current market scenario post your investment. But in the longer run, most likely the mutual fund may give you returns from 12 to 15%. Then that's a good mutual fund. If there is a fund which is giving less than this, then the fund manager is not doing his job. If there is a fund which gives higher than this, then that's a very good fund. Okay, so this is on returns. Next, before you actually want to invest into a mutual fund, what are the factors that you need to check? Asset under management. Say for example, there are two mutual funds and the same category, say large cap fund, from two different fund houses, fund house A, fund house B. When fund house A, the total corpus that is available with them or the asset that they are managing, say 500 crores. In the fund house B, for an equivalent mutual fund, that is the large cap equity growth fund, if they are currently managing say 10,000 crore, most of the people will go for 10,000 crore because they get comfort that there are many people who trust that mutual fund and they have given their money, rather than going into a fund house who manages only 500. It depends on when the mutual fund actually started. So there are other factors that determine this, but people tend to go for the funds where the asset size is bigger so that they get a feeling of comfortness and safety. So that is just one point that you can look for. The next one is expense ratio. This is something that we have discussed, the difference between a regular and direct. Assume you have decided to invest in a direct fund. Say tax saver fund you want to invest. Now, the tax saver fund, there are many different fund houses where you can select and invest. Say Mirae Asset is one, ICICI there will be one, Axis, HDFC, Kotak, there can be different fund houses. You have to identify which fund house is charging you less expense ratio so that you will get better returns. And please look for last 5 years CAGR return from the fund. Don't look for just 3 months, 1 year, 3 years. Always look for minimum 5 years. This will actually give the true picture of how the fund is performing. So for example, let us take a scenario where we have a fund house A, fund house B. Fund house A, the expense ratio is say 1%. And fund house B, the expense ratio is 1.5%. So from expense ratio point of view, we prefer fund house A. Now, if the last 5 years CAGR of the fund house A is 10%, so out of the 10%, you will pay 1% as expense ratio. And in the fund house B, say they are giving you say 13% CAGR in last 5 years. In that, you are going to pay only 1.5% as the expense ratio. So you need to consider not just the expense ratio and also the returns generated by the fund. As a combined thing, you will have to select which fund you have to select. Then you also have to look for, there's something called exit load. Not all fund houses charge you exit load. Again, it varies from fund to fund. Within the same fund, when you exit, say in first 1 year, first 2 year, there may be an exit load. When you exit after 2-3 years, there might not be an exit load. So it varies from fund to fund. Within the same fund, it varies based on the investment duration. So you need to look for an exit fund before you actually select a mutual fund. So these are the points that you need to look before you actually select a fund. Now let us see all these with some examples. Again, I'm going back to Zerodha Coin. Okay, now let us take tax saver funds, because now we are in the last week of March. Many people would want to invest in tax saving avenues. Okay, so let us compare with other funds. Zerodha allows you to compare only 3 funds. So let us take HDFC, ELSS. You should not compare dividend with growth. You should always compare dividend with dividend or growth with growth. I am selecting growth. Okay, let us take say Kotak ELSS growth fund. Okay. The blue color one is, you can see the different colors, and you can see the one that is blue, that is Mirae Asset Classes, has performed better in last 1 year. Now let us go down and see the fund house Mirae. This is HDFC, this is Kotak. This is the current NAV. NAV will vary based on how old the mutual fund is. If it is a very old fund, the NAV will be bigger, because this is a growth fund. They're going to reinvest. They're not going to book you profits, so the NAV will reduce. No, here the NAV will keep increasing like a stock. Okay, the minimum investment remains 500. Don't think when you go to Mirae you get more number of units. When you go to HDFC you get less number of units. That is a wrong way to interpret. NAV doesn't matter. Okay, all are growth, all are equity. ELSS type is equity. Open or closed ended, it is open ended. Exit load is nil, meaning you don't pay anything when you actually exit your investments. There's a lock-in period of 3 years. You will be able to exit only after 3 years. If you don't want to exit, you can keep or being invested for longer than 3 years as well. CAGR for 3 months, this is performing better. For 6 months, this is performing better. For 1 year, it almost doubled. As I said, market rallied a lot in last 1 year, from March last year to March 2021. So you may see a very good returns, but you should always look for a 5-year returns. And in this comparison, Zerodha doesn't provide you 5 years, so you should actually check 5 years return and then determine which fund you have to go. Leave all that and you come and see the expense ratio. The expense ratio is 0.29 in Mirae, 1.34 and 0.85. So return wise, this is better. Expense ratio is also very, very less in Mirae. So if you are going to go by like the fund house based on these factors, then you can select Mirae. Please note, I am not recommending Mirae. This is just an example of how to select a fund from different fund houses using some criteria. The criteria that I said is from my point of view. You may have your own criteria and evaluate. Please look for different factors before you finalize the fund where you are going to invest, because you are not going to change the fund very often. Whenever you select a fund, you will be invested at least for a few years. And this is ELSS. This has a lock-in period of 3 years. You cannot get out. So please do all the research and finalize the fund before you actually go and invest. So this is about mutual funds. Again, in mutual fund, there are two options. Either you can buy in lump sum or you can do an SIP. SIP wherein you can choose the frequency, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, and the amount, it is up to you. There are some minimum investment. Some fund they'll ask for like minimum, here I think it is 500, and it again varies from fund to fund. So this is about mutual funds. So if you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section. I will be happy to respond. Please subscribe to our channel so that you can watch all the new videos that we are going to publish. And we will continue with index funds in the next video. Thank you for watching this. Bye.